In this episode, we reveal our relationship secrets. And this one has a fun twist because neither of us know the 5 secrets the other one is going to share. So it's totally live and off the cuff.
We've had huge highs and lows in our relationship that have made us wiser and more aware of what it takes to make it work. This is a very open insight into our everyday life.
Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Midlife Mentors with me, James.
And me, Claire. How are you all doing out there? So we feel like we haven't recorded one of these for ages.
We haven't.
No, I know. This is true. We had the wonderful Meg Matthews podcast go live last week and we've had a phenomenal response from that. So thank you so much everyone that said they really, really enjoyed it. Poor James didn't get a word in edgeways on that one.
I didn't. I might as well not have been there. But it was very lovely to witness it.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. Meg and I just rattled on about all things peri-menopause and menopause. And we've even been featured, that interview's even been featured in Hello magazine. So that was quite good.
And we were in the Telegraph the other week as well.
We were in the Telegraph. Well, you were in the Telegraph the other week, commenting all about
the midlife health gap. So the dangers when one part of a couple, and this is actually relevant. So today's podcast is we're giving you our relationship secrets, and we'll tell you about that in a minute. But the Telegraph piece is about beware the midlife health gap. It's where one of a couple might get more engaged in their health and wellness. The other one feels a bit left behind. I go and look for it. It's by the wonderful Fiona Gibson. Great piece in the Telegraph.
I'll pop a link to it in the show notes, actually.
Oh, great idea.
Yes,
great
I
idea.
know. And then the week before that, we ran our amazing retreat. The first one
goodness.
in 18 months. We had 18 people on it, and it was...
Which was full capacity.
Full capacity.
So we like it nice and personal.
And it was at Fair Oak Farm. Thank you so much, Ian, for having us. Everyone absolutely loved the accommodation, loved the stay. It was just so beautiful. And the weather, we couldn't have wished. I think we had the warmest weather.
Oh, it was incredible. The sunshine,
the whole
warmth,
year.
people doing burpees around the fire pit at night.
That was me. That was me. I had a glass of wine or two in me, so I was doing burpees around the fire pit. Long story, but it was really, really lovely, and just everything was perfect, even the weather.
And that is why we missed a week, to be very honest with you, because we were running a retreat and then we were knackered afterwards. So we had the intention to do a podcast. We just thought, no, we will practice what we preach, be compassionate, and just give ourselves a week off.
We thought you would let us off the hook and forgive us. So here we are, back again with... drum roll, please. A really different kind of podcast today. So, James and I are going to share what we think are our relationship secrets, the things that make our relationship successful. And here's the most exciting bit, / scary, is I've come up with 5, James has come up with 5, but neither of us know what the other one has put.
That is right, listeners. I'm quite nervous right now.
I know. I can tell you're really nervous.
I'm making Claire go first, so at least, I've got the jump to react to what she says.
Quick, we might have to stop the podcast completely recording and he goes and changes them.
In all seriousness, though, this is one because a lot of people ask us, what's the secret to not only having a relationship together, but working together, running a business together. Obviously, that brings its own highs and lows with it, so you're navigating your personal life and your business life together. So we do get asked about our relationship a lot, so we thought we would share an insight.
Yeah, well, actually, I just wanted to give you, anyone that hasn't listened to our story, that was one of the first podcasts we did. I think it was about number 10 or something, and it was our story. So if you haven't listened to that, go and listen to that, because it is quite an in-depth look at how we came together, actually. But we are both divorced, and the thing about that is you do bring, no matter how much work, I hate that kind of phrase, but work you do on yourself, you still do bring certain amounts of baggage into relationships. And we are always really upfront. There were certain times at the beginning where we started working together straight away, by the way. So we got together and we started working in this business straight away. So, like James said, we were navigating our business and our relationship and all the baggage that came with it, all the vulnerabilities, and it was explosive at times. It was difficult. It was heartbreaking at moments in time, but here we are now, and it's unconditional love. It really is. For I'm saying that for me,
it's a beautiful thing.
It's an unconditional love, because you only know how much someone loves you and how strong your relationship is, actually, I think, when you've been through dark nights of the soul with them, and when you've decided to stay.
Exactly. I think we've both had points in this relationship, multiple points, where with anyone else we would have walked away.
Yeah.
But we've stayed.
Absolutely. So, and that just makes it more solid, and I think that's
maybe
what
this
comes...
podcast will be the turning point, and next week you'll be listening to Why We Got Divorced.
Oh dear. No, it's and we do get asked, and it does make this really strong. This is the relationship you now see, I suppose, or listen to on this podcast. But it's been a whole host of stuff. So the secrets we're going to share with you are some of the things that we really feel have made us the way we are now.
So we've got 5 each, and we're going to take it in turns. I guess discuss each one as they come out. And as I said, Claire is going first.
Okay,
She's going to me really nervously.
I am nervous. This is the most nervous one I've been on. So, my number 1 is forgiveness.
Oh. I've never done anything I need forgiving for.
And humour. If James was funny, that would help the relationship, but he's not. No, forgiveness, I think.
That's a really important one. I've
Forgiveness.
got my serious head on now.
Thank you. Forgiveness of myself, of the things I've not done particularly correctly in this relationship, but forgiveness of what James has done potentially to me, what he said, and just, I suppose, moving on from it. Forgiveness is when you're not forgiving, you're bitter. The other side of the coin is bitterness, resentment, and when you're holding on to that, it's like a poison that's seeping through your blood system all the time, all day, every day. And it's only you, really, actually, that suffers. A lot of the time we think, I'm not going to forgive that person, I'm not going to forget that, I'm not going to move on, because they deserve to really remember how much they hurt me and what they did. And if I let go of that, somehow it's saying it was okay, or it's saying that I'm weak, or some weird version of those things. And actually what I've learned with this relationship with James is forgiveness is, for me, forgiving myself and forgiving him and what we've done to each other at certain points in the relationship and how we've treated each other. So forgiveness is definitely one of my secrets to the successful relationship we have right now, because I've let go of all of that, and I know that I don't need to hold on to it in order to protect myself, and have, my boundaries are now down, and that allows me to open my heart and love more.
Oh, that's a beautiful one. Thank you. I say it's so true as well. I'm speaking for myself. We can all end up in points of relationship where we feel really, like Claire was saying, really resentful and bitter towards the other person. It's a point of I'm with this person, I love them. Why am I harbouring these feelings, and how is that serving me? It's actually only making me feel bad and putting strain on the relationship. It's not helping move anything forward.
No. I always say, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? I think forgiveness is the thing about actually just wanting to be happy. It doesn't mean to say we don't have boundaries. And actually, if you get in a relationship and those boundaries are being stepped over all the time, then, forgiving that situation, forgiving yourself, forgiving that other person and moving on. But actually, if you do love them, like James said, actually realising that you need to do some healing work and inner work yourself. And if you do love them, that's what's going to need to be happy. You're going to need to do that. And I would rather be happy than right.
Beautifully put. Okay, so my one is respect. And it's kind of all-encompassing. It's about respecting another person, just as kind of a human being and who they are, and respecting their power and their light. Also respecting, where they've come from and what they've been through.
I love that.
And bringing that into play. I guess it plays into the forgiveness part as well. Sometimes understanding why someone's behaving the way they do, and respecting the reasons for that, and realizing that's maybe past programming or something coming through. But also, really important one, respecting where the person is going. So I respect where you're going and how you're growing. Because without that, sometimes I think in a couple, we start to fear the growth. But in fact, we should respect it. And if we're really honest, be supportive and help our other half grow and be the best they can be. So, yeah, respect.
I think there's going to be some similarities here, friends. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. You're listening to this real time, and I haven't heard these things, and it's really beautiful.
It is really beautiful.
Thank you. So my other one is avoiding projection. So these are all kind of a really, really similar theme, right? Projecting my baggage and my view of the world and my pains and my hurts onto James. Because it's a hell of a lot easier sometimes to put it on other people than to actually realise that it's coming from a place within you. A lot of the time we don't like to look at the stuff within ourselves because we feel like we might dive into an abyss and never be able to get ourselves out of it again. So we deny that. We pretend that doesn't exist. But what we end up seeing in other people are those things because we don't want to see them in ourselves. So we say, it's you. It's you doing that to me. It's you doing that to me. And actually, what I do now, one of my biggest secrets is to look at myself and think, if I'm seeing that in him, where is that in me? And how do I need to heal that? And guess what? I'm going to get emotional. Guess what? It really takes the sting out of constantly criticising someone, beforehand. And I'm still guilty of this sometimes. You've got your critical hat on. You're like, you've done this, you've done that. And actually sometimes taking a step back and thinking, oh my goodness, I'm not perfect. I'm being angsty about that. But where is that in me? And where's that coming from? Which part of me is feeling that right now? Am I feeling frustrated about my life in some way? Am I feeling unsafe? Am I feeling in danger? And I'm projecting that onto the people that I love and James, instead of looking at loving myself more and not taking it out on him. So not projecting your past pains and feelings on that other person and pretending that they're theirs, because actually most of the time it's reflecting right back at you what you need to heal.
It's true. You and I are so
Mirrors.
similar in lots of ways. We're mirrors to each other. And sometimes when you meet your partner who's a mirror, obviously you love the things about them that you love about yourself. But then there's things that you don't so much love about yourself, and they're the same, and they're like, oh, that's really annoying me. And then you have the realisation, like, it's annoying me because that part of me annoys me. So that gives you the clue to what you need to work on. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yes.
And I'd also say a broader point, because we get asked this a lot, actually, when we're talking to people, with couples. So it'd be like, oh, how do I get my husband to do this? Or how do I get my wife to do this? And our question is like, why do you want them to? What's the expectation? Because projection expectation can be quite similar. Expectation you're putting on them, and why is it bothering you that they are doing that thing or not doing that thing? So, a takeaway for you out there is encourage you, if there's stuff like that in your relationship, maybe take a look at it.
And I would also say on top of that, we always say to clients, individually or as couples, actually, if you start focusing on the things that you love about them, you'll see more of them. Stop focusing on the things that you don't like and start practicing looking for the things you do like. Because actually, here's the thing, they will respond to that energetically. They will respond to that. If you're constantly nitpicking and finding the bits that you don't like, you'll see more of them. And they'll probably get so fed up, they'll show you more of them. So actually start practicing gratitude for the things that you do like about them and keep looking for them.
Beautiful. Our next one is basically taking the time to connect. You're trying to read my points. Taking the time to connect, because as we said at the start, not only are we a couple, but we're working in a business together as well. And if we're not careful setting boundaries, that can really overspill. You find you're sitting there at 9 o'clock at night, our bedtime, but still talking about work if you're not careful. So for me, part of the success has been establishing boundaries about when work's on, when it's off, but making these times like going on dates, making sure we have time to connect. Mentally, emotionally, physically, intimately, making time for that, not like scheduling it, but just making sure, that is such a deep, important part of the relationship that we do take time to connect to each other.
It is. That's a beautiful point, because it's also, that relates back to one of your other points, which is respect, right? You respect
Don't be looking at my points. That's not respecting my points.
You've already said respect. Respect. Why do I want to keep singing the song? Yes, that relates back to respect, doesn't it? You're respecting that person is not just a work colleague or a work buddy, and we've really, really blurred those lines before. And it's not that we don't. Sometimes we'll dip into that. If we're working on a project, a huge project, sometimes we'll dip into that and we'll be a bit snipey and a bit snippy with each other, and then we'll think, oh, hang on a minute, that's because we're not respecting that we're also lovers.
Exactly.
And husband and wife and best friends, and
it's I'm sure all of you that have been in relationships can identify with this. It's all too easy to become complacent in a relationship, like imagine when you first meet that person, you got all the infatuation and stuff going on, and it's like, oh, but over time, if we're not careful, we can start to take it all a bit for granted. Like, this is just my everyday, this is it. No, you must realise it's always something special and take the time to make that connection.
I love that. Thank you. So that's relates to my next one. This is number 3. Always wanting to be the best version of myself. So actually physically, mentally, emotionally, powerfully, womanly, I don't want James to... He does see the worst in me, as in I've let him see the worst in me, and that's one of my other points in a minute. But I allow him to see that, which I don't think I've ever really, really allowed anyone to see on that level before. But it also gives me the strength and the courage to move forward and be the best version that I am, and I am becoming. I always want to look as nice as possible for him. I do, when we go out on dates, I do want to dress up nice for him. I do want to look after my health and my body. There's been times where I've let it slide, my physical health and physical well-being, and my body's felt sluggish and I haven't felt tip-top. And, I regain control, not just for me, but because I know I'm not showing up as the best version for him at those moments in time, or the business, but especially for James. And because he really respects turning up as the best person that he can for me, I do the same for him.
That's a really beautiful one. And here's the thing, this is what we say to clients all the time. When you work on yourself and growth and being the best version of yourself, you start showing up better for those around you and inspire those around you. I know, like, I'm conscious of the fact Claire's working on being her best version, so in turn that inspires me to be my best version as well, and I'm sure it's vice versa. So that's a really, really powerful one. Powerful one. When you're both working to better yourselves and be the best version of yourselves, it can really help pick each other up and move each other along.
I know. Really, just a caveat on that, I think you do have. It's a beautiful thing when you find someone that is okay with that as well, with you moving towards being the best version of themselves. Because some people can feel threatened by that. I think that's not a secret. It's just it's an added on point that actually finding someone that isn't necessarily threatened by you wanting to be the best version of yourself. Because sometimes people put you in little boxes, and that's where they feel safe you being. And once you try to step out that, we see this all the time with clients. Once people try and step outside those boxes, it makes them feel unsafe, because they're then looking at themselves thinking, oh, I'm not quite sure. I like that. I don't like this version of myself, but I don't think I'm brave enough, or I've got the commitment, or I've got the level of motivation to change. I'm not sure I want to be witness or bear witness to someone doing that right in front of my eyes.
True. My next one is communication, because a lot of us can dance around the things that really need to be said in relationships. A lot of us will avoid the hard conversations. A lot of us will say what we think the other person maybe wants to hear. But, with Claire, I've learned, like, open and honest communication is by far the best way, even if you're not delivering great stuff sometimes, because then both parties know where they stand. I guess this rolls into kind of boundaries as well, but it's really refreshing to be with someone that you can just be really open and communicative with, and say how you're feeling, and say what's bothering you, what's getting you down. So clear communication is such a key part of our relationship.
There's so much resentment that goes on from things that are unsaid. So much, and then we presume so much that the other person,
and that makes an ass out of you and me.
An ass. People presume in relationships the other person must know what they're thinking and must know what they're doing, and again, that goes back to projection. But presuming that people know your relationship, your partner knows what you're thinking without you saying it, it's such an assumption. And it gets people into such a pickle, a real pickle.
It does.
Love that one. So, number 4 is...
Oh, getting close to the end.
Wanting James to be the most phenomenal, powerful, best version of himself, because I am not scared at all to see him shine. And it is a privilege and an honour to see him every day stepping into that bigger version of himself. Not for me, but because he's a beautiful soul. So seeing him move into this place where he's happier, more awake, with himself, enlightened, knowing what he wants, where he's going, it's so amazing and inspiring to see that. And I think that's quite rare. I don't think I've ever had that in a relationship before. But again, these are all interlinked, because I'm now safe to be whatever version of me that I am. And that's taken a long time for me to get here. I think, I'm going to be really honest, only in about the last 6 months have I felt really, really, really safe. We've been together 6.5 years. Really, really safe to be accepted into the fullest version of me. And in turn, I just love him going out into the world and doing different things and setting him free, basically. I think, what's that saying about if you love someone, set them free. If they come back, they're always yours. If they don't, they were never yours to begin with. And I think setting someone free with the safety of knowing that they're not yours, because you don't own someone, but just... But having that sense of security that you're setting them free to become the best version of themselves, whatever happens, is really beautiful. I'm not making much sense.
That's a really gorgeous.
Because I'm getting emotional, so I'm
not
not really.
Emotional. I'm beaming all over my face, listeners. That is a really, really gorgeous one.
Yeah, because it's scary. It's scary, isn't it? Letting someone go off and do.
I can only do that because you're stepping into your power as well. Mm-hmm. So, by one of us doing it gives permission to the other one to do it.
Yeah, it's permission, isn't it? Yeah. It's permission. And I feel so safe. I've never felt safe.
Giving permission for the other one to shine.
Yeah. And you should say, you should have permission yourself. And you should, absolutely. But when you are, this is the thing, the crux of the matter is, I think what's been difficult sometimes in this relationship is because we do work together, and to go off and do our own thing separately, even in the business, but hobbies and things like that, that's actually been quite difficult, because you've got this sense of responsibility that you should always be working together and pushing the business forward and striving. So that's quite a new thing for us listeners, is to go off and do our own thing, not because we feel like we're stuck to each other's hips, but because we always felt like if that sense of responsibility that if we go off and do our own thing, we're somehow letting the other one down with regards to work. And that's gone. And there's a sense of such freedom and joy in seeing James go off and do his boxing and go off and see just everything that he's doing on his own at the moment, creating his own programs. Da, da, da. Da, da, da. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's a really, really gorgeous one. My one is now taking the time to really learn about the other person, learn about their styles, really understand them and understand where their behaviour is coming from. Because a lot of time we can just dismiss stuff or not be wanting to really bother to understand like what's going on. But when we can really understand, and I guess we've got a bit of an edge here because of our background in psychology and NLP, we can use those tools to go, okay, Why is Claire expressing that way? What should I take from that? What would an objective viewer take from that? But really, then you'll start to see the patterns. I think you start to understand, and I guess it builds into all these points. Then you can really understand the whole person and how to communicate with them effectively, how to make them feel loved, how to make them feel safe. Just taking the time to really get to know and understand.
I know, and I'll give an example of that because I totally agree. You know, we do joke that James is a fire sign. I love my star signs. I'm a Virgo. James is so I'm an earth sign. James is a fire sign.
The Virgo. I was going to say, now we've got to point number 5. Claire is like basically hiding behind her laptop so I can't see it, but she keeps peering at my point 5.
So the Virgo likes to know everything, basically. The Virgo...
Don't be changing your point 5 now.
No, I'm not. So I'm a Virgo. James is a Sagittarius. And this was a really big problem. And we said this in various podcasts. I was so cautious, but that comes from a place of insecurity, not feeling enough, not feeling like I wanted to put myself out there too much. So I kept, this is years ago now. I've clearly got over that a lot more. But I was always trying to perfect everything. I was always really anxious about going out with anything because of that not enoughness. And James, on the other hand, was just like firing all his arrows off as a Sagittarius does, just going, oh, let's just go. And I'm like, no, let's take some time. And it was a real problem in our working relationship. So looking at people's styles, we laugh about these things now because I've met him much closer to where he is. And he's also, he listens to me when I say, hang on a minute, let's just calm down, let's just stop, let's not fire an arrow off if we don't know that it's really going to land and spend time on it. And James respects that. So, that is a massive secret of our success, I think, is actually, understanding different styles.
Point 5.
Point 5 is me being vulnerable. I have been, as I know a lot of people will relate to, I've been wounded, I've been hurt, I've had my heart broken, I've had some traumas, as we all have in life, James has had them as well, but it made me very guarded, made me put up a lot of walls, and just being able to, knowing that there's no other option in a relationship actually if it's going to work other than to be vulnerable. But James, in a sense, I wouldn't have been able to do that if he hasn't worked really hard at making me feel safe. And safety comes from within, absolutely. But being with someone that makes you feel safe is a beautiful thing. So me allowing myself to be seen, to say when I'm angry, to say when I'm hurt, to say when I'm scared, to say when I'm not sure, and to be vulnerable with him and let him see me is something I've never done before, and it pays off. Rather than getting angry, I probably, hopefully now, just become a little bit more vulnerable. Because, when you've got your walls up and you've been hurt, the first thing is to get all prickly when something happens, and that was definitely me at the beginning of the relationship, and it really did a lot of damage. So actually now, instead of getting angry, looking at myself, I suppose it's the whole introspection and projection thing, looking at myself and saying, okay, that's just me being angry and guarded. Instead, I'm going to be vulnerable.
That's a gorgeous one. Thanks for sharing that one.
That's all right. My voice keeps going because I keep getting emotional. I'm going to shut my laptop now.
Hey. So my last one is to remember to have fun together. We can all end up taking life so seriously and getting bogged down in everyday life and stress. Listen, life should be like a fun. It should be a fairground ride of delight. So remember to make time to play together. Play together. We lose our playfulness if we're not careful. So make time to play together. And Claire and I are very lucky that we have a lot of similar interests. We love to train together, a bit wacky like that. We love to do lots of things together. So it's about making time to play together, but at the same time, like I was saying earlier, also having your independence, being free to do your own stuff as well, and that being okay with the other person. Making the
effort to understand the person, what hobbies they like, and then maybe starting to share some of those. And even if you don't really like them, maybe giving it a go because you respect the love that you have or want to rekindle something in your relationship. So it's so about give and take. But I hope you've enjoyed that. This is such a left field podcast episode, but it's something that's been on my mind for a while because we do get asked.
It's a beautiful one to do, yeah.
We get asked a lot. And, people see us and they're, it was love at first sight. Well, we went through a whole heap of stuff to even get together, where I was an absolute nightmare to this poor chap. But, everyone thinks, it must have just been lovely and a honeymoon period, and then you've just gone in and there were a lot of bumps in the road that have made us very wise, actually, in the area of relationships. A lot of the stuff that we talk to our clients about is to do with our relationships with other people.
Oh, listen, if I give one big tip overall, everything is like a relationship is like anything. You get out of it what you put in. I think it's a really common trend to put a lot in at the start and then it becomes every day, so you end up putting less in. Just remember, you need to always be investing in it, always making time for your other half. And really nurturing it. I see a relationship is like a plant. It has to be watered and cared for, otherwise it will wither and die.
And I would say this as well, if you are in a relationship that, you do feel like you've done a lot of these things and you've given it what you can, always do reach out for help and support for what you're going through. Relationships are difficult things. If you're going through a difficult relationship, then do reach out and get support in whatever form that is. But also, because we're talking about our relationship and our successful relationship and our secrets of a successful relationship, we all deserve one of these. Don't settle is what I'm trying to say. Because I never thought it was possible for me. Ever thought it was possible for me. I really didn't. This was not on the cards for me at all, given my relationship history. I'd given up, completely given up. So in a clumsy way, I'm trying to say don't give up on love.
Don't give up on love. That's a great way to round it up. Do not give up on love.
All right. Sending you lots of love.
I hope you loved that.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.
As always, we're here for you. You can email us at team@themidlifementors.com. You can join our free community on Facebook, the Midlife Mentors Community, and find us at the midlifementors.com website for more information about the stuff that we do. Also got our YouTube channel as well. Loads of ways you can follow us, get in touch with us. We would love to hear from you. Wishing you all a beautiful week.
Lots of love, guys. Bye. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you, so drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors.
Yeah.